Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming back. And if you have not seen previous, I hope you do. But where I am in my story is 1979, California, San Diego backcountry. And we just rented a house. I'm going to try not to say, and I'm try my best. Bear with me. After we moved in, we learned that we were downhill from the pig farm. So at a certain time every day, or it might have been something they were doing every day, but like between 4 or 5 o'clock at the end of the workday, it stunk so bad at our house, outside especially. And like I told you, we didn't have air conditioning and it was hot as hell. So it was really disgusting. It smelled like a sewer. But there we were, had to deal with it. Now, Bob's working at the church ranch painting, but that did not last long. When he finished the job, he just started doing stained glass in the barn. Now, we were on 40 acres. There was a big barn. And he set up a shop in the barn, set up some fluorescent lights on his workbench, and he started making his stained glass. And he was good at it. He was not the best salesman and not at all a good businessman, but he was good at his craft. And in the barn, along with Bob, there was a pig that lived there, and there was some guinea hens and a peacock, beautiful peacock. And the landlords lived in Los Angeles. Really interesting people. There were so many interesting people in my life, and I bring them to you through these videos. Well, they were old, like they had to be in their 60s, maybe 70s. And he was some kind of, I think it was Russian Orthodox minister, pastor, priest, whatever they call him. Probably retired though. And he never came around. I only met him once. Had the big long white beard, walked with a cane. But the wife, Mrs. Solomon was her name. And she was pretty spry still. And she's the one that would come around and talk with us and everything. She had an accent, I think it was Russian. So she liked us, and she asked us to kind of be her liaison, that she wanted us to keep an eye on the other two families that were living there. There was two other, on the 40 acres, 3 single wide trailers. And I think they were all 2-bedroom. The one might have been a 3-bedroom, but probably 2. Anyway, she wanted us to keep an eye on them, and she asked us to feed her animals every day. So we were happy to do all that. And, we were the only ones that had a phone. So the other 2 families did not have a phone. And of course, there's no cell phones back then yet. But we had a landline. And back in that day, when it rained, our phone didn't work. They told us that the cables were old, and when they got wet, they didn't work, period. So we were very remote. We were 40 miles from San Diego. We were 8 miles from this little old-fashioned market on the California-Mexico border called the American Market. It was right on the border. And we were 15, 20 miles from another small market where you could only get limited items in Hamul. And we were a good 30 miles from a real supermarket. So we were remote, and even couldn't get gas unless we went to Mexico or drove about 30 miles to get gas. So we were way out there. And Bob, when he was just making stained glass, I figured out he was averaging less than $1 an hour for his efforts. And he did work long hours and he was trying real hard. He made some beautiful things. But you can't get the money that you put into it. And they were also making Mexican stained glass, which was much cheaper. The quality was not nearly as good. The glass was the same, but the soldering was not nearly as good. But, I mean, if you're going to save 75%, people would buy that before they buy from Bob. So we were very broke, paying $200 a month rent. I suppose I must have had a little bit of savings left because I don't know how else we would have done it. But also, let me see here. I don't want to miss anything here. Okay. I'm going to tell you just for a second about the neighbors. Okay. The one family, the lady, if you saw my last episode, if you didn't, please, please, please watch it. It might be my very best ever. But the one lady who I shoved my baby in her arms, and she had the 17-year-old kid. He was the oldest. She had a bunch of kids. I don't know, I think about 8, at least 6, maybe 8 children. And the youngest was a brand new baby. The father went to work every day. The mother stayed home. I only talked to her out in the yard. She was very, very dirty looking. I mean, like she had rings of dirt around her neck, and her kids would come over to my house and like to hang out, and they all were filthy, really sad, very sad, sweet kids, but not being properly cared for. And when I moved there, she had a brand new baby who died of crib death. A few weeks, at like 6 weeks old, died of crib death. And very sad. I mean, the little girl comes over and has a baby pig and dressed up in the baby clothes of her little baby sister that died. Very, very sad. Those kids broke my heart. And I heard that the 17-year-old kid is the one who actually started the fire that in my last episode. I don't know if that's true or not. But I heard that from the other neighbor who was, who I mentioned. She had a toddler about 2 years old, 3 at the most, and a baby in arms. I believe the baby was 7 months old when I met her. And she stayed home with them, and her husband worked every day. And she was very nice, and I liked her, and we got friendly. It was nice. She didn't come over much, and I was only at her house a couple times. And she had a decent place that was clean and neat, and she had decorated and all like that. And their yard was taken care of. But there was a little something there I can't explain. I don't know what it is, but something that was keeping us from becoming besties. Somehow you connect with people and you become close best friends like right away when they're living right next door, right? But I really did like her, and I thought she was a decent person and all, but for some reason it was hard to get close to her. But she would let her kids come over to play often, and Lauren enjoyed that. And I will move on here with the moment that we're in. Okay, so this was 1979, and if you all remember the Jim Jones massacre in Guyana, where they all drank the Kool-Aid, the suicide Kool-Aid, very, very sad. Well, our families, I told you we wrote all these big 10-page letters to everybody we knew. I wrote most of them. Bob wrote some also. And so our families were concerned, especially Bob's family, because of this was all over the news about these Jesus cults that you have to be careful of and all. So they were afraid that we were mixed up in one of them. You know, California, where all the nuts and fruits are, that's what they used to say. They don't say that anymore because of all the, you know, the way it is today. You can't say a lot of things that people took as a joke in the past. Anyway, so Uncle Paul, he was Bob's younger brother, 12 years younger, so I figure he was only about 15 at this time. And they sent him out to check on us to make sure that we were not in one of those crazy cults. And all of our friends back there, we had written letters to, and word gets around, you know, word on the street back in Long Branch, where I came from in New Jersey. Word on the street was that Bob and Susie moved to California and became Jesus freaks. And I guess we were Jesus freaks, but it was a good thing. Anyway, nothing to be worried about, okay? So, oh, another thing, they had cows, okay. Somebody, I think it was maybe the same people that owned the pig farm, hog farm, down the road. I think they're the ones that had cattle. And once in a while, if we didn't leave the gate, if somebody, one of the three families, forgot to close the gate, the cows would come in to our 40 acres. By the way, we had a well and a windmill that we got water from. And anyway, so the cows would come in sometimes, a herd of cows. And I'll tell you something, my Layla, my German Shepherd dog, and she may have been a mix. We were told she was German Shepherd. She was blonde, but I will give you a picture next time maybe. But definitely looked like a German Shepherd. And she had it in her blood because she was never taught, but boy, when those cows came into our backyard, we did have that chicken wire fence around the immediate backyard, but when the cows came in, we let Layla out, and boy, she herded those cows. She would just circle around those cows and herd them right back out the fence. It was so cool to watch. And the other thing that was super duper most awesome cool was the peacock. Peacock, if you don't know, peacock makes a very horrible sound, very loud bleating. I can't do it. Like a screaming almost kind of sound. It can be very annoying. But that was okay because it would come on, it would come on, sit on top of our trailer and make that noise and all. But we didn't care. But the coolest, most awesome thing was that baby dropped feathers all over the place. And this crummy, crappy place where we lived, stinky, everything bad about it, was covered with peacock feathers, so beautiful. And I don't have a single one left. I did keep a few when I moved away, but we had them just dropping all over the place. They were so beautiful. So, let's see. Okay, and one day I went to the market. Went to the Tecate market with Lauren. Now, Tecate it was the next border crossing, um, next to San Ysidro, which was the border crossing that went into Tijuana in San Diego. And I think they may have made another border crossing at Otay Mesa since then. I've heard something about Otay Mesa border or some crossing, so I guess they made another one. But back then, the next one over that I knew of, that I ever heard of, was Tecate. That's where I lived 8 miles on the road from Tecate. And they had this American market there. So one day I was there with Lauren getting some supplies and getting in line. There was this lady standing in front of me, young lady with her little girl. And now Lauren's sitting in the shopping cart. She was getting close to her second birthday. And this lady, I'm going to call her Lee right now. Okay. So she had her little girl who was just 1 year older than Lauren. And, I'm behind her in the line at the supermarket. So, it wasn't a supermarket, a tiny little community grocery store. So I'm behind her in line, and she started talking to me, and we hit it off right away because we were around the same age and we had the little girls in common and all. And she told me that she also lived near me. We talked about where we lived, and we were very close where we lived. So I told her she said she was looking for a babysitter. And I told her that, I was interested, and I told her that I was planning a birthday party for Lauren because she was going to be turning 2. So I invited them to come to a birthday party. So, funny thing, planning for the birthday party, okay. I went over the border. In fact, I think it may have been, well, I don't know. I didn't go over very often, but it was common to go over the border at Tecate for all the people that lived out where I did, would go over to buy certain things that they could buy easily and bring over. Certain things were allowed, a lot of things were not allowed. So there was good deals on some food and other things. And also a lot of the people would go over for dentist, doctor, and prescriptions because they could get them much cheaper. Some things that you needed prescription for in the US, you could get without a prescription in Mexico. And so it was very common to go back and forth over the border, especially easy border like Tecate, where there was never, ever a waiting line. You were waved through and coming back, they asked you to declare what you bought, and then they just waved you back. And so it was very easy. And I went over there to get a piñata for the birthday party, right? Now, I'm not familiar with piñatas. I got this strawberry shortcake piñata that was popular back then. And we had the birthday party, right? So it was great because I had my good friends that I introduced in my last episode. Diane was there with her little boy, and my neighbor, my new friend, my neighbor, who I'm calling Trisha, who lived on the property, she was there with her 2 kids. And my new friend Lee and her little girl was there. And actually at that time, you know what? That family, the dirty family with all the kids in the little 2-3 bedroom, right? They had already moved. And you know what happened with them? When they moved, okay, the landlords, I told you we were like the liaison. They called us and asked us to go check out the place and see how they left it, right? So I went up there. I was totally appalled. I couldn't believe it. Never saw anything like it and never have since. It was the most disgusting, unbelievable, really, atrocious. I can't have enough words. Okay, all the doors were broken. There was goat turds all the way through in every room. They had a goat. It was not one that I was feeding in the barn. Okay. Goats were common in the rural area because they help, they eat the weeds to keep the weeds down so you don't have to be weed whacking all the time. Goat turds all over. Toilets were out of the floor, laying on their sides, and disgusting black dirty. Trash all over. I mean, all kinds of trash. Every kind of trash you could think of. Just all over in every room. If all the doors weren't broken down, I wouldn't have even been able to go in it. I'm sure it would have stunk so bad. But just the most disgusting to think that people are raising kids in an environment like that. In this United States of America is atrocious. Ugh. So after it got cleaned up, remodeled, and all of that, another young couple moved in. I remembered them because they were at Lauren's birthday party. I have a picture. And they were another young couple with 2 little kids, and they moved in, and I never did get close to them. But, I was friendly with them when I saw them. And really, really strange was after they moved to Texas, and she started writing to me. She was writing to me when we never even really became friends, but people are strange. So, I guess our time's up. Oh, the birthday party. So I just got to say, at the birthday party, funniest, stupidest thing, when they broke the piñata, nothing happened because I thought it was stuffed with candy. I did not know that you're supposed to stuff it with candy. So I didn't put anything in there. When it was broke, I was disappointed. Everybody was disappointed. Nothing came out. So that was my lesson learned. More about all of this next time. Thanks for watching. Please like me, maybe subscribe, then you won't miss any. Thank you. God bless.